Jr. He gets by and stays in front when Martin had to get.
For the first time in NASCAR history, back-to-back wins for someone from Prosper, Texas, baby. Chris Buescher has now won back-to-back races for the first time in his career. Prosper, Texas' own. He got himself his first win of the season last week at Richmond. Backed it up here with a win at Michigan, holding off a very dominant Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr., statistically, no, he did not lead the most laps, but he did sweep the stages, had the fastest race car, and it showed. Today at Michigan, it was difficult to pass, but it was not impossible. It was a very, very good race, if you ask me. But getting back to Martin Truex Jr., Truex, as I said, had the best car today, really a dominant car. And as I just said once again, it was difficult to pass, but not impossible. But for Truex, it was a breeze. With about 20 to go in stage 2, there was a caution, and Truex opted to pit, get some fresh tires, and the tire fall off really wasn't that much. It wasn't like last week at Richmond where we're having over a second fall off from tire wear. The tire difference, like maybe it made a little bit of a difference, but it wasn't super significant in terms of a quick, short 20-lap run. But Martin Truex Jr. blitzed the field. He pitted, about 15, 16 cars stayed out. Truex went and won the stage in a photo finish. The next best car in that strategy finished 9th in the stage. So Truex, I mean, it was masterful what he did. He absolutely made the right moves at the right time, bottom, top, middle, passing everyone. He looked unstoppable. He looked like he had a rocket ship. But then it happened. Prosper, Texas' own Chris Buescher stopped him. How did Chris Buescher stop this dominant rocket ship of Martin Truex Jr.? Well, strategy was a factor all day at Michigan. As I said with the tires, not a lot of tire fall off, so we saw some guys not getting tires at all on pit stops. We saw some guys going with right sides, some guys going with the left sides, some people staying out. So, I mean, it's difficult to name every strategy because there were so many different strategies throughout the day. It would be impossible to go back and name each and every one. But the big one that happened was at the end of stage 2. A lot of guys pitted. Martin Truex Jr., who I just said pitted about with 15, 20 to go in stage 2. He could have stayed out, and I think he would have been fine, but, want to get fuel, be on the better preferred strategy, but he opts to pit. Well, there were some guys that stayed out, including Chris Buescher and Tyler Reddick. Martin Truex Jr. was able to get back through the field, but at this point, Chris Buescher and Tyler Reddick were working together, and they were over 5 seconds clear of Martin Truex Jr. by the time he got to third. And then the green flag pit stop started, and this is where it gets interesting. Buescher and Reddick had to stop, but they had to stop a little bit early, and they had to make sure they got enough fuel in the car. So they sat around for an extra 3 to 4 seconds, and they made sure that the pit stop was about 13 seconds long to make sure they got as much fuel as possible so they can make it to the end of the race. Whereas Truex, when he would eventually make his pit stop, he didn't have to wait for fuel because he made that pit stop at the end of stage 2. They just needed to do a normal pit stop, 9, 10 seconds, and they would be good. Well, Buescher, they executed perfectly. The pit stop went well. He was out and away, running back, hoping to get the lead. Tyler Reddick, however, 2311, their pit crew, oh my goodness, it's like Ferrari in F1. They are the Ferrari of F1. Tyler Reddick, once again, a great run up front, leading laps, potentially in position to win, comes out ahead of Chris Buescher on pit road. Right rear tire not secured. He spins out in turn 4, saves it, so no caution, but he has to come back in, pit, get the tire off, fix the damage because they shredded a tire, and they go multiple laps down, finish somewhere in the 20s or 30s. And so all of a sudden, Tyler Reddick was animated on the radio. I mean, he was screaming at his team, and understandably so. This is at least 2 wins he's lost because of them. Now, obviously, it's not guaranteed that they would have won, but they would have been in position to win. Today at Michigan, they dominated stage 1 at Nashville, and during stage 2 green flag pit stops, they did not secure that right rear tire. The same situation. Reddick spun, lost the tire, went multiple laps down, penalties, suspensions. that team, both cars for 23XI, the Pit Crews have got to get it together. They have fast cars. They could have multiple wins this year. They only have one at COTA, so those Pit Crews have got to get it together. They are better than this. They have won races together. They've got to be better. So Tyler Reddick rightly mad, but back to the strategy portion. As I said, Chris Buescher on that alternate strategy, but Martin Truex Jr., he was able to make up that time on Buescher and come out only a second behind Buescher. And then the chase was on. It was a game of cat and mouse. Truex was chasing down Buescher, as I said, about a second back, and he was able to get right to Buescher's rear bumper for the first 20 laps of that run. Buescher had to weave through traffic, make sure the lap cars didn't hold him up. Austin Hill tried his hardest to hold him up. No. Prosper, Texas' own says, no, Austin Hill, you will not hold me up. You will not hold me off for this victory. Well, then it comes to about 10, 15 to go, somewhere in there. Martin Truex Jr. gets his run. He has an opportunity to pass Chris Buescher, and at this point, I'm like, it's over. Martin Truex Jr., best car. He's going to get side by side, send it into a turn, take the lead, and he's going to run away. Chris Buescher said, not today, Martin. Monday, Martin, may I add. Of course, Martin Truex Jr. has 2 wins on Monday this year. No. Monday, Martin, not today. Buescher sticks it. Stays on his outside. Truex not able to clear him. Truex cut off from, making the turn as full as he wanted to, and Buescher pulls back away, and then a lap car, McDowell, shows up. Truex gets loose, falls a second behind, closes back up with about 3 to go, but can't do anything, and Buescher wins. Masterclass. Chris Buescher, Prosper, Texas' own. Masterclass. For real, though, on a serious note, an actual masterclass. He defended the win so well, played defense incredibly, and even when Truex was able to get side by side, at that point you're thinking it's over, Truex is going to win. No, Chris Buescher fought him off and was able to get his second win of the year, his third with RFK. Huge win for Ford, huge win for Jack Roush, huge win for Brad Keselowski. Of course, Keselowski from Michigan, but the manufacturer obviously wanting to win at Michigan because it is their home race. So Michigan always a big deal in that standpoint. Playoffs got chaotic once again. Bubba Wallace scored a lot of stage points. Alex Bowman, Daniel Suarez scored a lot of stage points. So now the bubble, we'll talk about it at the end of the video, very close. But Bowman, after gaining all those stage points, having a top 10 day for once, it goes wrong again. On a restart, Austin Cindric pinches Michael McDowell into the 38. The 38 hits the wall and is going slow. Everyone's taking evasive action. Bowman just gets clipped by the 14 and crashes, goes multiple laps down. Eventually retires from the race due to his damage. So Bowman just, ever since the injury, just has zero luck. I don't even know if he has a top 10, honestly, since he probably does. But I know he doesn't have a top 5 since his injury. I mean, it has been a disaster since his injury. It's looking like a must-win for him as well. Let's look at the finishing results of this race so we can get to that playoff talk that everyone loves. Chris Buescher, Prosper, Texas' own, his second win of 2023. If it wasn't official before, it is an official thing now. Chris Buescher into the NASCAR playoffs. 2 wins on 2023. Hey, I said last week the short tracks and super speedways were their strengths at RFK. Well, it's kind of an intermediate, kind of a super. It's like in between. It's the intermediate package, though. They were fast. They looked great, and they had to hold off the best car by far today. Very impressive. They are getting hot at the right time, but we said this is the same thing about Harvick last year. Harvick, of course, won Richmond and Michigan back-to-back, and we said, he's getting hot at the right time. So hopefully Buescher can do it better, get a deeper run in the playoffs. But the way that RFK and Buescher have been running this year, if they can keep this up, they're going to be dangerous in the playoffs. Martin Truex Jr., heartbreaking. He is still yet to win at Michigan. He's got a lot of fast cars there. He's won a ton of stages, has had dominant cars like today, but just cannot get it done. Fastest car, as I said, swept the stages, so they do get playoff points out of the day. And with the 2 stage wins and finishing second, I mean, they pull away in the regular season championship battle, so I think that's got to feel good for him. And with 2 road courses coming up, where Truex is a really good road course racer, I think they got to feel good about the regular season championship. Heartbreaking, yes. You had the fastest car. We're not able to get the job done. It's going to sting, but still, really good weekend for Truex. And, of course, he announced that he's returning in 2024. Third place, Denny Hamlin. Solid day for him. Yep, had an issue on pit road where he stalled the car out, went to the back of the field, played the strategy game, was able to get back up. But they also had a really fast car. Like, he was like Truex, slicing through the field. Not as fast, obviously, but really fast car for Hamlin. He finishes third. Brad Keselowski finishes fourth. A great weekend for RFK. As I said, Ford, the manufacturer, huge for them, their home race. Huge for Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski from Michigan has always wanted to win this race as a driver. Still yet to get that done, but to get that one as a team owner, I think that's going to mean a lot to him. And for both RFK cars to be in the top 5, they would have last week too if Keselowski didn't have that pit road issue. But almost back-to-back top 5s for both cars. It's been a fantastic year, and of course, Keselowski, he's got to be like 170 plus on the cutoff line. Kyle Larson, 5th. Quiet day for him. He was the only Hendrick car not to crash, though. So top 5, great for them. 6th place, Daniel Suarez, after a disastrous week last week at Richmond. They did everything right this week. They played the strategy correct. They got 15 stage points, 14 stage points, something like that. Almost won stage 2 and finished 6th. The top 10 finish plus probably the most amount of stage points they could have got. They did everything right. And they went from 35 points below the cutoff line, I think, to just a handful of points. That was a fantastic day for Daniel Suarez and team. They did everything right, and they're going to road courses where Suarez is a very, very good driver. 7th place, Ross Chastain, a much-needed top 10. They have been awful since his win at Nashville. So to get a top 10 here, lead a few laps early on, I think that's good for them. They got to start building their momentum back up before the playoffs. 8th place, Kevin Harvick, his final trip to Michigan, has, I think, 4 or 5 wins over the last 5 years at this track. So a lot of good memories for him here as of recently. But yeah, sure, disappointing not to get the win, but a top 10, extending that gap on the playoff cutoff line. It was looking bad early on. They were in the 20s, but rallies back for a top 10. 9th place, Ryan Blaney. 10th place, Eric Jones had a really good day today. 11th place, Ty Gibbs, gains on the playoff cutoff line, got himself 8 stage points, I believe. 12th place, Austin Cindric. Really good day for Cindric today. Was running in the top 10 for a good chunk of the day. I think he even contended for the lead at one point. Ends up 12th. 13th, Christopher Bell. How he finished 13th, I do not know. He wrecked himself out of the lead yesterday, and that car looked destroyed. Well, 13th. Somehow, someway, Christopher Bell, 13th. 14th, Joey Logano. 15th, Corey LaJoie. Good job for him. Almirola, Burton, Bubba Wallace was really fast today. I don't know what happened to them. I think they had a bad pit stop late in this race. As I I don't actually know. I thought I read that somewhere. I could be wrong, so sorry, 23 team, if I'm blaming you for that. But if it was, oh my gosh. But he gains on the playoff cutoff line by just a bit. As I said, we'll talk about it later. 19th, Austin Dillon. 20th, Ty Dillon. Ty Dillon led a couple laps in this race during the pit stops. Ty Dillon masterclass. 21st, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 22nd, Ryan Preece. 23rd, Justin Haley. 24th, Michael McDowell. Man, the road courses and super speedways could not get here quicker. He had an 18-point buffer. He is now below the cutoff line, I think. Terrible last 2 weeks for him. Not what they needed. 25th, Cole Custer. 26th, AJ Allmendinger was running top 15. Unfortunately, though, had a loose wheel on that final pit stop. Had to pit again, and they fall to 26th. 27th, JJ Yeley. 28th, Austin Hill. 29th, Todd Gilliland. 30th, Tyler Reddick, as we said already. Pit crew, got to do better. You're about to get to the playoffs. You guys should have multiple wins this year. You make these mistakes, you're out in round 1. 31st, Chase Briscoe. 32nd, Josh Bilicki. 33rd, Alex Bowman. Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. They were going to run top 10. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they were going to win or even maybe not even get a top 5, but top 10 was in the books for them. They scored 10 or so stage points. They were about to make up a huge chunk of points, be within 15 points of the cutoff line. Then restarts happened. Nothing can go right for them. Josh Berry crashed out. William Byron crashed out. Chase Elliott crashed out. We already talked about him. He's in must-win situation right now. I think he's like 60 points behind. Somehow only 60 points. And then Kyle Busch, who also crashed out. Let's look at the points now. So, as you see in this graphic, all the guys in yellow, they are locked into the NASCAR playoffs. That means they have wins. So there are 12 of them. There are only 3 races left, so everyone who has a win is for sure in the playoffs this year. It's not like last year. And then we have Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski. Yeah, unless 3 guys, like if, Bowman, Elliott, and Ty Dillon win, there's no way that there's no way that they miss. So a repeat winner next week at Indianapolis will lock one of them in. Or of course, if, one of the other wins. And then if we get another repeat winner at Watkins Glen, that will lock the other in. So, there's no way that they can miss unless there's 3 new winners. And if so, it would only be one of them missing. Bubba Wallace gains 4 points on the cutoff line. He's got a good gap right now. It's about a race gap, but you have to remember, Bubba Wallace is not a good road course racer. These are his worst tracks coming up. Yes, he got a top 5 at Indianapolis last year with all the chaos and stuff, but I think they've got to be playing survival. Top 20. If they can get top 20s these next 2 races, they're going to be great going into Daytona. But if not, it could get close for Bubba Wallace. Ty Gibbs +3. He's sweating a lot. He goes above the cutoff line, though. That's huge. I think they were 10, 15 points below entering this race, and McDowell's struggles really helped him, especially with getting stage points. McDowell struggling, as I said. He's now -3. He cannot wait to get to the road courses. He is a road course ace, along with Daniel Suarez, who is -5. AJ Allmendinger is -24. Those 3 right there, great road course racers. Alex Bowman, -44. Not technically in a must-win yet, but I'm going to say must-win. Must-win for Bowman. I don't know where Elliott is in this thing, but Bowman on back, must-win. So thank you for watching this video. The playoff chaos in this race, we talked about a lot of it yesterday with Elliott and whatnot, but today it was Bowman getting taken out. But it was Chris Buescher, Prosper, Texas's own, getting his 2nd win of the season and his first ever back-to-back wins in the Cup Series, and they are hot at the right time. So thank you again for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Monday race. We've had so many of them this year. Hopefully the weather in Indianapolis next week is nice. If not, I hope it's a light rain, so that way they can actually race. But I haven't looked into that yet. I don't want to yet. It's only Monday. So thank you again for watching. Hope you guys are doing great, as I've said like 5 times already.